Hello, blessed soul family. Welcome. I'm the magical medium. Welcome to the spiritual guidance channel. My name is Tallulah Kelly. Some call me Lula, some call me Tallulah, and some call me Kelly. So today, I've been trying to start this for so long. Today's a really hard one for me because we're in the waning gibbous energy. We just came off this blessed full moon in Aquarius in the Lionsgate portal. I've had quite an experience over the last several weeks and months, really, years. But if I'm talking in real time, yeah, it's been pretty intense. And I had a hard time. As I'm like playing with my hair, I'm like, I had a hard time being present with you today, because sometimes when I'm going through something, I don't really want to share it. I like sharing it after it's happened, sometimes during, but like something that's like super intense or hard or difficult for me to do, I struggle with getting real. And even now, I don't know how to feel with you guys, because the waning gibbous energy is about reflect and release. So I've been going through a lot of reflection, self-reflection, family, friends, experiences, jobs, everything. We have some new friends in our lives, and you know, when you get new people in your life, sorry, I have this little chair thing here, I'm trying to get comfortable. But you know, when you have somebody, this is my little table, we're gonna pull cards. When you have some new people in your life, you tend to like talk about yourself a little bit, you know? And it's interesting because in each experience like that, we get a chance to reflect back on who we were and accept who we are now and where we are now, and release the negative energy that doesn't apply. By the way, this camera is kind of crooked. I'm going to fix it. Sorry. Oh, I guess you can't see me though if I do that. I'd have to come down here. Hold on. Okay, that feels better. Anyway, long story short, I'm getting this message from Spirit for all of us, that it's time to reflect on the past and release it, let it go. And I know in the moon cycles, we like to go with like whatever we put forward on the new moon. Sorry, I just put a hair in my eye. But I'm feeling in this energy, it feels more like we really need to focus on what's holding us back from who we are. And recently I had, I don't know what's going on with my, it's like, you know, when you have those days where you don't care what you look, this is the thing. I haven't been on camera for so long that I don't give a shit what I look like most of the time. I'll kind of slap it together here and there, but now that they're having me come back on the videos, it's a little, I know you guys love it. Thank you, Anna, for saying so. But for me, it's like I have to get past certain things, you know, my perfection stuff, my control stuff, which is why I know they're making me do it again. Dagnabbit. It's just like we can't escape it, but we're not supposed to. We're supposed to. What do I say to all of you guys all the time? We got to get through it to get to it. And so I can't say these things to you and then not do it myself. Which is why they're having me talk about this today. And I have a new deck that I made. It's really fun. It's got words and stickers and interesting things. But luckily for you guys, I only have about a half an hour on here. So I'm not going to get too mouthy and lengthy. I know I can, especially when I'm on cannabis. I can just like go into my, you know, my channel used to be called Lula's Labyrinth. I can go into my labyrinth of my mind and just really go. But certain things have been coming up for me. I'm trying not to cry. I know I always tell you guys to let it flow, but I always feel like when I'm crying, I'm kind of like wasting your time. I'm like, we got cards to get to. Who cares about my shit, you know? But I had a really good feeling about this place that we're going to be living right away. And I just found out recently that the man who we're doing this work trade with, I kept saying, gosh, you remind me of my dad. You remind me of my dad. I kept saying that. And then before I read for them, I kept hearing, he is your dad, or he is your, or something. And I was like, what, you know? And I was like, oh, well, in another life, you know? And I'm just like, I'm always trying to like thread it together. You know, Spirit gives me the breadcrumbs just like they do with you. Sometimes it's smack dab in my face. Sometimes it's just teeny weeny little crumb. So it just, you know, we decide how far we're going to take that crumb and where we're going to go with it. So long story short, I realized in this moment that he and I were talking, I said, wait a second. I go, when's your birthday? And he goes, February 28th. And I go, oh my God. And he goes, what? I go, that's my dad's birthday. I said, and Alder's birthday is my dad's death day. And I think I might have told you guys that his RV that we're living in right now while they're finishing the cabin is BMD. And I joked around, you know, I was like, oh, my dad's name was Bill, and my stepdad died 1.5 years ago, and his nickname was Mac, and then D for dad, right? And then I was laughing, and I was like, oh, he's like Big Mac Daddy, you know? And then I thought, oh my gosh, all of this father energy. And I feel like it's like, I feel like both of my dads wanted to really help me and take care of me. And my real dad, he never gave me anything. And I'd find out he gave money to my other siblings or bought them gifts or something, or, you know, like he bought me gifts too, but like my gifts were like so absurd because I was younger. And long story short, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like my sister and her husband would get like, you know, a bread maker, and I'd get like some fucking ugly pajamas with like a dog on it that looked like it would be worn by a 12-year-old. And I swear I would see my stepmonster, excuse me, Spirit, that's awful. I can't call her that anymore. It was like, you know, I swear I'd see her snicker. I'd be like, really? Like, you see me? Would you ever see me wearing something like, you know? Anyway, I digress. So when my dad died, I didn't even get to go to his funeral. And there's so much behind my stories of the patriarchs in my family. And even down to the fact that my stepdad was my dad's best friend. Yes, I know, Jerry Springer. I can go on and on with the very Jerry Springer-esque of my family. But then I realized that most families are fucked up. And I was like, mine might be a little more fucked up than others, but there's some way more fucked up than mine. And it doesn't really matter. Because those are the paths that we chose and the lessons that we decided to learn and bring into our lives. But the miracle of all of this is my dad never really gave me money. In fact, he never gave me money, except for one time. I moved to LA when I was 23. I didn't know anybody. It was a big deal. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. I worked 2 jobs, saved up $3,000, and I fucking moved to LA to become a star. Like, I was like, I am going to make it. I loved singing and acting and all that. And yeah, so about a year after I was living there, maybe it was sooner than a year, my dad's wife's best friend came to visit, and she's like, she took me out for lunch, and she's like, I have a card from your dad. And she gave me this card, and it was a really beautiful, touching card where my dad said, you know what, you made it. I'm really proud of you. I hope this helps. And it was like a $100 bill, which in 1996 was a lot, you know, it'd be a lot now even. So I was like, wow, like that was his way of saying he was proud of me. But any time throughout my life when I would ask him for money, he would always say, you know what, you can make it on your own. You can make it on your own. And I used to think he was so awful, you know, because I knew he was giving money to other people, my stepsisters, and I was so jealous and angry that I was just like watching him help everybody else. And, or like some stranger would find out about my dad, or I'd go to visit my dad at his bar, his restaurant and his club or whatever. And people would say, oh, your dad, he's so generous. He's such a giver. Oh, your dad paid my electric bill. I'm like, what the fuck? I'd be like, what? You know what I mean? I'm like, he doesn't give me dick. Like, I was like, what the fuck? And then I realized recently that, you know, it's like even my stepdad wanted to help me and stuff. And my mom was always like, no, don't give it to her, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he started lending me money under the table when I moved to the Pacific Northwest, because he knew I was struggling really bad, but he knew I was trying so hard. And so he helped me and he kept helping me. And I felt so guilty that he passed and I didn't get to pay him back, you know. But we've talked about it since, and he's like, oh my God, I never really wanted you to pay me back. I'm so glad I could help you, you know? And so I feel like indirectly, because this person that's helping us is like a mixture of my two dads. It's really, and you guys know I call them my two dads, like they really are. He's just amazing. And so we put in an ad when we were home free. We put in an ad for a home trade. And long story short, he emailed us, but by the time we saw his email, Alder had been working so much. We were so tired. We'd been going through so much with packing and moving and going through just so much that we decided to go to the beach for like 3 days. You guys know I've been posting stuff from it. And we turned our phones off, except for this one day where it was raining all day. And so we went through, and there were so many people who reached out to us. It was really amazing. Long story short, we ended up connecting with him, right, with this whole thing. But recently when I read for him, I found out, I knew, like, when he had asked us to, like, you know, come and meet him, and he's like, I lost my wife recently, and, you know, I need to get rid of a lot of cars, and you know, he loves to play with cars, and you know, whatever. Now he's 79, and he's like, I could really use the help. And so when we were talking about it the other day, he said, she was so right on. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, Trudy picked you guys. And I was like, what? And I was like putting the timeline together, and I go, when did she die? And he told me, and I go, oh my gosh. So we put in the ad, she saw our ad, and she died within like a few days. She chose us, and she's been coming through like nonstop. And when we came to look at the RV, I was like, nope. I'm like, I don't, even though it's bigger and better in a lot of ways than Big Camper, I'm like, I'm not doing this again. I can't. I was like, I can't, you know. I was like, with all due respect, I'm like, thank you so much for the offer. And he's like, you know, I go, I know Alder mentioned that you had a cabin, but I guess somebody lives there. I'm like, if that frees up, I'm like, and he's like, wait, hold on, you know. And that's how that all started. And we just had, I'll tell you guys the whole story someday, because it's so magical from beginning to end. It's really cool. And I probably should write a book about it. I started to document it a little bit. I wrote a poem already called Home Free, which I'm going to post on my Poetic Prophet. I haven't posted on there in a while, but if you're interested, go on my page at the bottom. It's the Poetic Prophet. Subscribe. Like, I will continue to put things there. It's just right now, this is just like where I'm at, you know. But yeah, so it kind of like totally blew my mind to find out that she's the one that chose us, because after we looked at the cabin and we were driving home, she came through the whole first day we met them. It was just so magical all the way around. And she was really, really, really witchy and magical herself. She's from Holland originally. And I have a sister witch from Belgium, and we had a connection when we first met. And I'm like, there must be something with all of us. It's just so much has been happening. It's been hard for me to process and talk to you guys about. But when we were driving back, I heard her whisper, because I was just like, we were both just really quiet, you know, and he gave us this offer. We told him what we were looking for. And basically he was like, you know, it's a done deal if you guys want it. And I was like, okay. And it was just like, all of a sudden I heard this voice say to me, but it was her voice. I knew it was her voice. It was his wife. And she said, the last line from Willy Wonka, she said, what happened to the girl who got everything she ever dreamed of? And she said she lived happily ever after. And I just like started bawling, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, Alder, I think this is our house. I think this is the house that we've been praying for, that we've been manifesting, our cabin in the woods. I'm like, I think this is it. I really do. But since then, we've had like such a roller coaster with, you know, everything, with ourselves, with, you know, and this Lionsgate portal was so powerful. But I realized now that I've had a little time to reflect on what has been going on, I realized the only demon I was fighting was myself. Because I've spent 50 years chasing after this brass ring, and now it's like right in front of me, and any little thing that goes wrong, I'm just like, nope. I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't. And not that I didn't want to do the work or anything. I guess in my fantasy world, I pictured it to be like perfect, you know? But yet it is, because it is witchy and full of cobwebs and like old, and like it needs to be smudged. Like, I mean, that energy in there, I spoke to it yesterday. I worked with it. Now I didn't go in the house. I just stayed here on the bottom part of the property. But I mean, it's magic. It's everything that we dreamed of. It's everything that we hoped for. It's everything that we wanted. It's literally like, and when I've told him, well, it can't be my dream house because I want this or that, he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just change it. Because he's like, I'm remodeling anyway. He's like, I don't care. He's like, however, you know. And I was like, can I pay for this? Can you want us to do anything? And he's like, I'll let you know when we need help or if I want money. I'm like, okay. So it's just been interesting. And I found out recently that it was rented out to some people who were doing some dark magic there, which is exactly what I fucking felt when I said that to Alder. I go, this feels like somebody who's doing fucking dark magic here that didn't know what they were doing or didn't know what they were dealing with, you know. People open portals and shit. And so I told them like what we need to do. So obviously I need to do a lot of work on it, but that's the cool thing, right? Why would I run away from this little haunted witchy cabin when it's, I mean, I can see it. It's like fucking Snow White, man. I can see me like doing all these things. And so I finally I went through a lot of dark shit since the Lionsgate portal opened, and I realized that, I don't know if you guys have too. Please comment below if you have. Please reach out. Tell me what you're going through. I want to hear your experiences. You know, we're all going through very similar things, but it's different for each of our stories, you know. Even down to like, he gave me these earrings, and I was like, oh, I haven't worn earrings in years. I'm like, I used to wear earrings all the time. And I was like, oh, they're so gypsy. I love them. He's like, yeah, they're silver hoops. He's like, do you want them? I was like, yeah. And like, you know, he and his daughter, we've been going through their stuff, and like Trudy's been talking to me and stuff. It's just been amazing. I mean, you guys, his name is Jolly. I have a little Santa emoji next to his number. He's just like this magical old shaman, and like there's this whole family. They're all magical. They all have these gifts, and so like we've been working together, and it's just been it's been healing for everybody, and you know, kind of bizarre too, because I'm just like, you have my dad. Like there's 365 days in the year, and he has my dad's birthday. And, you know, Alder has my dad's death day as his birthday. I mean, it's like, what are the fucking odds? I mean, it's just, you know, you really start looking at everything and realizing just how, I feel like I'm purging something right now, just how explosively awesome. Did you see that? Oh, it's just a reflection. I was like, what's that? It looked like smoke for a second. I was like, hold on, there is a candle back there, but it's not. It's good. But I'm glad I'm not crying, because I'm more happy than anything. And I think it's because I've been purging a lot and crying a lot and working through things, and, you know, and realizing like I didn't get to have like an exit with my dad. And I feel like both my dads, okay, now they're making me cry because they're here. And I feel like this is like my dad's. This is exactly where, I'm sorry, I'm not a pretty crier. This is just exactly where it's like magic. And the craziest thing is, when my mom came to visit, this was the last, for 3 weeks, I think she was there 2 or 3 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. And when she finally went back, this was the last place she was. And I said, this is where we want to retire. And she's like, why don't you live here now? And I said, Alder doesn't want to live here now. He's not ready to live here now. This is where his family's from. And now he's ready to live here. And we've been like driving around, and there's just so much magic here, and it's just so beautiful, and it just feels so right. And I'm like trying not to cry, and I don't want to be phony about it. And I'm smelling something right now that I don't know if it's Trudy's perfume or somebody else's, but I mean, even down to Pat giving us her shays, you know, when we went to that yard sale for a lady who just passed around here. It's just like everything that I've wanted has just been like given to me. And I've just been fighting for 50 fucking years. And finally, it's like, it's my turn, you know? So hang in there. Hang in there and reflect on what it is you need to let go of and release it, because I promise you, the miracle and the rainbows they're right there. They're just around the corner. And for some of you, it's the next day. For some of you, it's the next year. And for some of you, it's in a few years. It just depends. It's different for everybody, but you don't have to make it brutal while you're there. Go through it in a very happy, loving, unapologetic way. Because when I finally let go of all this stuff, even Alder, I was just like, I think you're supposed to live here with your cousin, because his cousin just moved back and they're like really close. And I was like, maybe you guys should live. I'm like, maybe we're supposed to break up. Maybe I was just supposed to bring you here. And I mean, he's like looking at me like, okay. And he's like, detached much, you know? And I was just like, yeah, because it was just like all of a sudden I just started like my walls were going up. Every gate was closing. And I was just like, nope. Because these people are loving me just in such an open way and accepting me for what I am and who I am, instead of trying to change me. They're like this family that I've always like dreamed of, you know. And you know, nobody's perfect, none of us are perfect, but that's the beauty. It's like I feel like there's like a lot of cool things that are happening between all of us, and you know, it's like it's just beautiful. And I'm still working on it, but I've had to keep my walls up for a really long time because I didn't trust anyone, or I knew I couldn't rely on my family or certain people, you know. A lot of times I was looking for a hand up, not a hand out. I just was so tired of working all the time. And it was a struggle. And also I made a lot of money when I was younger, and I was such a giver. I used to give things all the time, or fly people places if they wanted to come visit me, or help people if they needed the money. And then when it was my turn, I just thought it would naturally come, and it just didn't. And I remember I put out, I was trying to open my own store after I was doing a pop-up for 6 months that was successful, but it just needed to be in a better place or whatever. And I reached out to my family and my friends, and I asked for help through a GoFundMe. And some people did, and I love you so much if you still watch this and are part of my life. Thank you. But like other people, I mean, I even said in there, even $5, I'm like, you know, would you buy me a cup of coffee? I don't drink coffee, but like a cup of tea. Like I was even funny. It was like tumbleweeds, nothing, not from my sister, not from my mom, not from, it's like, I know the GoFundMe had just started, but it was just, there's just been many times where I really needed help and nobody ever helped me. And even when I started putting like Venmo and PayPal on here, I was just like, I was like, I don't know, I feel like I'm begging people for money. I don't want to do that. Like, I just want people to naturally like reach out and be like, hey, how can I help you? Sorry about that. And then my husband said to me the other day, he goes, remember when you used to talk to me about my scarcity mentality? He's like, well, I worked with it. And he's like, and I know you were working with it. He goes, but I think I understand what's happening with you now. And I said, what? And he said, you're afraid of success. So I'm putting myself out there. My Tickety Talk channel is back up and running. Spirit asked me to reignite it in this last week of the Lion's Gate portal before it closes, before Virgo season starts next week. Whenever you watch this, it's timeless, of course. But in this energy and before that door closes, manifest, put it out there, reflect on what isn't, let it go, release it, and just keep your eye on the prize over this next week, because this is the last week. I mean, we're always going to have miracles and good moons and things like that, but the Lionsgate portal is like the most beautiful time. So work on that. Okay. So these are the cards. Oh, look at from Spirit. So these are messages for all of us. Be a star. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see with this because of the lighting. Hold on. Be a star. Yes, they're Dr. Seuss stickers. Oh my gosh. I was like, I am so making oracle cards with this. And turtle medicine. Look at the turtles like, hey, what's up? I feel like that's spirit and turtle medicine saying that you're doing a really good job. Keep it up, but work with the turtle spirit medicine. And remember that everybody goes at their own pace, like we just said. So, you know, you think the turtle, I mean, think about this. The turtle's one of the oldest living fossils still on this earth. Oh, it's like it doesn't want to come into focus. I think we want to stay on the cards, right? So think about that. You don't have to go speedy to win the race. Oh, and elephant spirit medicine. Ah, Horton, here's a who. Play with the fun energies. Playful. Yes, work with elephant spirit. So turtle and elephant spirit medicine in this reflect and release. And there's so much. For those of you who are new here, welcome. And for those of you who have been coming back, thank you for coming back. And Spirit thanks you as well for supporting us. Whenever I talk about animals, numbers, or things like that, that's what Spirit wants you to research on your own. So you put in like elephant spirit animal, spirit medicine, whatever feels good to you. And whichever one, you know, put in whatever search engine. I always ask Spirit to give me the first one at the top, and then I kind of work my way down. But, you know, you can have your own system. You don't have to use mine, but you're free to use mine. Okay? So that, and then we also have, hooray! Again, Spirit, like, they're so proud of you. They're so proud of us. Like, we've been working our asses off, haven't we? I mean, we're not like other energies or entities. If you found yourself to this tribe, you know what I'm saying. Okay. Oh, here we go. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. So in this reflect and release period, what do you need to forgive? I mean, I would recommend forgiving yourself first for everything. Just a mass blanketed, I forgive myself for any and all things I have ever done that weren't in the greatest and highest good of myself and others. And I forgive others for doing things to me and other people that wasn't in the greatest and highest good of others. Because we are all working from our own level of consciousness in that moment. And we keep changing and evolving and growing. And that's what these moon cycles give us. When Spirit called me to the moon, I mean, I was born on moon day, you know, but when they called me to do 8 readings a month at least, or 8 sessions of some kind with the moon energy, meditation, whatever it is, it's for us to focus on these things, to keep remembering like why we have these 8 phases in the moon, these 8 cycles. They give us so much. And in the WANING GIBBOUS, it's the 6th moon phase. So work with the number 6 as well. That's been coming up a lot for me today. I did a pick a card from, I forget which one who did it. I watched a few today, but the number 6 kept coming up. So number 6. Oh, when I looked down, it was 2737. So that's our angel number, 2737. Okay, same thing. You just put in like angel number 2737. Oh, I love this. And these, I love these because they didn't really, I was like, what do you want me to do with these? I wasn't going to use them at all. And then they said, use them for chakras. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, it's so clever. I mean, Dr. Seuss and your chakras. So I like how this one is really interesting because it cuts over his mouth. And what is the blue chakra? The throat chakra. So look at that. So Spirit's saying, speak your truth. Right? Look at eyes wide open and mouth shut. Be an observer. Eyes wide open, mouth shut. Be an observer. You can still use your throat chakra. You don't have to be super chatty, right? My husband's like that. He is so powerful. He's that type of person that people like, he doesn't say much and then he'll say something super profound when he does. You don't have to always be chatty. That's me. That's why you and I are the good yin and yang. Okay. On the flip side of that, we have the orange, which is the sacral chakra. So in this WANING GIBBOUS energy, or whenever you watch this, it's timeless. Work with your throat chakra and your sacral chakra. Okay. Interesting. I asked them, I'm like, so are we always going to like pull both sides? And they're like, I guess it depends. So far it's been right to it. Oh my gosh. And our last message is trust. I mean, trust and forgiveness. So trust. Also, I think it's interesting. They had me use particular colors, and trust is green because I heard some of you, some people are green with envy of you. They're very jealous of you. And it's gross and it's not nice, but you know what? Let them deal with that. And if anything, feel bad for them that they can't love themselves enough or trust themselves enough or forgive themselves enough to just be themselves. Do you hear that? Also, it's in green, which is the heart chakra. Love them openly, lovingly, without malice, without judgment. And this is whomever this applies to, okay, in your life. It could be many somebody's. And forgive. Because you know what? When you forgive the other person, you really are forgiving yourself. And you're forgiving the whole situation. Trust that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Reflect on what was. Forgive it. Trust it. And trust and release it. And trust that spirit is going to bring you exactly what you need in exactly the time frame that you need it. Hey, listen, a lot of you guys know this has been hard. Oh, look at this. Oh, Mercury. So some of them I haven't finished yet, so you haven't seen it. But this is Mercury. So we can work with Mercury as well, which I think is Wednesday. Miércoles, I think, is Wednesday in Spanish. So I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the bottom. But work with Mercury. And also, Mercury is going retrograde in September, but we start the shadow. Today's the 15th in real time. So on the last quarter moon, on the 19th of this month, in August 2022, well, the last quarter moon's like 18th to the 19th, the way, you know, and it depends on where you live. But interestingly enough, the Mercury retrograde is coming in. So, you know, there's always the shadow the 3 weeks before, then there's the Mercury retrograde for 3 weeks, and the shadow after. So that's coming in September. So if you have anything that you need pressing done, try and get it done by the end of August if you can. And definitely if you can before the 23rd, when Virgo season begins, because we still got this beautiful Lionsgate portal energy. And interesting that the gate's going to be closing when the Mercury retrograde's going to be coming in. So yeah, but you hear what I'm saying? You got to believe. You got to believe it. And I know I was saying it to you guys, but I really was at the end where I was like, I'm clearly, it's never, I mean, I would like literally burst into tears anytime I heard, "When's it my turn?" from the Little Mermaid. I was just like, like for real, like, when's it my turn? Like, I've been doing this for, you know, like, but I realized I've been at it for 7 years hardcore. I've been on my mission for 50 years, but like hardcore at it for, well, 8 years technically, but like the last 7 years. So it is my turn. And now things are finally coming to be. And I almost turned it down. I almost pushed it away because it wasn't perfect, because it wasn't the vision I had for it. Instead of letting my higher self know exactly what they're doing, you know, and instead of like trying to plan it, you know, because it was hard, because in the beginning conversation, we talked about he wants to sell it. And so it was like, do we want to rent it? Do we want to do a trade? Do we want to rent to buy? And so we're still in negotiations on certain things. Like we feel like when it's done and we move in there and all that, like we'll all know what the right thing to be will do. But for now, it's been a little difficult to trust and forgive my family and my friends and myself for the programming that we did to each other, the labels and the, you know, the horrible things, and how I felt unworthy, like I didn't deserve this. And my dads came in from the other side and were like, "Fuck yeah, you deserve this. We're sorry we didn't give it to you in person, but here you go." I mean, come on, he has my dad's birthday. And like my stepdad, Jolly would have been a perfect nickname for him, because he was just a jolly old happy soul for the most part, you know. And but strong, just like Jolly. It's just interesting. This whole thing has just been really, really, really beautifully interesting and difficult, but for the most part, interesting. So don't forget to be a star, you guys, because this is your show. This is your movie. Do you know what I mean? Fade in on a girl with a hunger for fame. You know that song from Marilyn? What was that TV show? Anyway, when she's like, "Let me be your star." So it's time for you guys to be the star of your own movie. It's like you don't want it to come in. And also turtle. If you take nothing away from this reading, Spirit says work with the turtle spirit animal, and remember that you are a star. Until next time, you guys, I love you so much. Thank you for being a part of this tribe. Thank you to the new subscribers. Welcome. Like, comment, subscribe. It does help the algorithms to keep this tribe and the momentum going. I've had a few people who've reached out, new people who are like, where have you been all my life? And I was like, well, you were meant to come here right now today. You know what I mean? It all happens exactly when it's meant to. A wizard arrives exactly when they're meant to. Any closing messages, Spirit? Nope, that's it. Oh, and like I said, I just put a new reading on Tickety Talk, and they do want me to bring this up really quickly. It was a reading I did when I lived in Big Camper, and it was 3 cards that I pulled from the Love Oracle Wellness deck. I thought it was going to be a pick-a reading, but it ended up being, it is kind of a pick-a reading, but they ended up having me do readings per card, 3 of them. And so I just posted one today on TikTok, the part 1. And then I'll post part 2. I don't know if they're going to have me go on there every day, every few days, but I will post them part 2 and part 3. So look out for that. And I'll remind you as well. And I'll put a link to my Tickety Talk. I just realized I will do that so that you guys can find me over there. But I'm the same. I'm the magical medium. I'm the magical medium no matter where I am, except for my Poetic Prophet channel, because that's just me being me. Well, I'm also channeling stuff there too. But anyway. All right. I love you guys so much. Until next time, be really good to yourselves and each other. Blessed be. Oh.